Once upon a time, there was a mighty king named King Fakrudin, who ruled over a vast and glorious kingdom. He lived in a palace of gold, surrounded by wealth and honor, and believed himself to be the wisest and most powerful man in the land. Yet, a question often troubled him. Am I truly the most powerful of all? One day he decided to embark on a journey to find an answer. He assembled his royal council. "My friends," he said, "for years I've pondered a question. Who is the most powerful? Some say it's the emperor with his vast riches. Others say it's the general with his mighty armies. What do you think?" The counselors exchanged glances. "Your Majesty," one finally spoke, "your power is unmatched. You hold the lives and fortunes of your subjects in your hands. To us, you are the most powerful." The king nodded, but he wasn't convinced. He wanted to see for himself, so he announced, "I have decided to go on a hunting expedition. It's not just to hunt animals, but to see how powerful I truly am in the heart of nature." His advisors tried to dissuade him. "The forest is unpredictable, Your Majesty. It's not like the battlefield where your power is evident." But the king was determined. He assembled his army, armed himself with the finest weapons, and set out for the nearest forest. The king and his men spent a whole day hunting. They pursued swift deer, cunning rabbits, and birds that soared through the sky. The king's archers were so skilled that even the slyest creatures couldn't escape their arrows. As the sun began its descent, the king decided to return. "Let's head back, men," he commanded. "We've proven our prowess. Let no beast go unhunted." But as they turned to leave, the king realized he was lost. The familiar landmarks were gone, and twilight was settling over the forest. Fear flickered in the eyes of his men. Suddenly, a ferocious lion emerged from behind a tree. Its eyes glinted in the fading light, and its powerful frame exuded an air of untamed strength. All around them, the forest fell silent, as if holding its breath. The soldiers instinctively formed a protective circle around their king, their spears and swords held high, ready to defend their leader against the approaching beast. Instead, it let out a deep, resonant roar that echoed through the trees. Then, much to the king's surprise, it turned and began to walk away. Curiosity and a desire to understand the lion's intentions overcame any shred of fear in the king's heart. He knew he couldn't allow his soldiers to blindly follow such a dangerous predator. With a low voice, he commanded them to stay put. Then, clutching his sword tightly, he cautiously stepped out of the circle and followed the lion. As the minutes ticked by and the forest grew darker, the king's determination wavered. The sound of rustling leaves and snapping twigs echoed ominously around him, each sound seeming amplified in the stillness of the night. Every shadow appeared as menacing as a lurking beast, and the silence was deafening. Just when his resolve was at its breaking point, the lion suddenly stopped. It turned, revealing a small clearing bathed in the soft glow of moonlight. In the center stood an ancient tree, its gnarled branches reaching towards the sky like the arms of a wise old man. Beneath the tree sat a large stone, and the lion had disappeared. Hesitantly, the king stepped into the clearing and approached the stone. His heart pounding in his chest, he circled it, half expecting the lion to pounce from behind. But there was nothing. There was only the ancient tree and the stone, and the silence of the night pressed in on him. As he stood there, unsure what to do next, the ground beneath the stone rumbled. The king jumped back in alarm as the stone rose, revealing the lion sitting majestically atop it. Its eyes, gleaming in the darkness, seemed to pierce through the king's facade of power and courage. The lion, its gaze unwavering, spoke in a voice that resonated with power. "You seek power, little king of the humans, yet you know not its true meaning." The king, startled by the talking animal, instinctively drew his sword, though his hand trembled slightly. "What do you mean?" "Show yourself, beast, and I shall prove to you the true meaning of power." The lion let out a low growl that rumbled in its chest. But instead of lunging at the king, it leaped gracefully off the stone and paced slowly in front of him. "Very well, human king, I shall show you." The lion then turned and walked towards the ancient tree. The king, still clutching his sword, cautiously followed, his eyes never leaving the majestic animal. The lion stopped at the tree and, turning back to the king, continued. "Here in the heart of the forest, We do not live by the laws of brute strength or the whims of a ruler. Our world is governed by the law of balance, a balance that has existed since the dawn of time." The king frowned, struggling to comprehend the lion's words. "What do you mean? This makes no sense," he exclaimed. The lion sighed, as if sensing the king's confusion. "Listen, human king, and I shall teach you a lesson that will serve you better than any victory in war." The lion then proceeded to explain the concept of balance in the natural world. It spoke of how every creature, big or small, played a vital role in maintaining this delicate equilibrium. The king listened intently, his earlier arrogance giving way to a sense of wonder. As the lion finished speaking, a profound silence fell over the clearing. The ancient tree stood stoic and wise, bearing silent witness to the exchange between the two very different rulers. Finally, the king broke the silence. "So what am I to learn from all this?" he asked, his voice humbled. The lion regarded the king for a moment, its eyes seeming to bore into his very soul. "You have much to learn, little king, about respect, humility, and understanding." The lion then turned and walked away, disappearing into the shadows of the trees. The king, feeling small and insignificant in comparison to the majestic lion and the ancient wisdom of the forest, made his way back to the edge of the woods. As dawn broke, painting the sky with hues of gold and crimson, the lion led the king to the edge of the forest. When King Fakhrudin returned to his palace, his face had changed. The once proud and arrogant ruler now walked with humility, stopped hunting, gave up cruelty, and ruled with fairness and justice. He would often look up at the moon and whisper, "O great lion of the jungle, I am a mere student in the school of nature, learning the language of the wild." From that day forward, King Fakhrudin became known throughout the land as the just and wise king, and whenever any young and ambitious ruler sought his counsel, he would tell them the story of his journey into the jungle, reminding them that true power lay not in brute force, but in wisdom, humility, and respect for all living beings. And so the tale of King Fakhrudin and the Lion of the Jungle became a legend, a story whispered around campfires and told to children, a timeless narrative that taught the importance of balance, humility, and the interconnectedness of all life.